Intel Arc is in the news, or maybe it's not, or maybe it's canceled, or maybe it's not. Who actually knows? So Intel's yet to be released officially. However, they've gotten some Eastern region releases. Stateside, I think Asus has the only official one that's out in the A380, and it's still the lower tier of the card. We're still waiting for A770s to hit. And already we're hearing like rumors that Arc is circling the drain. Like Intel is thinking internally about canceling the entire program, enterprise, consumer, everything, all in one shot. Well, yeah, that's according to Moore's Law is dead. That's kind of the feeling with some internal Intel insiders about Arc GPUs. That even though Alchemist kind of made its soft launch and whatnot, they're not happy with the performance. They're not happy with the early results, the early turnouts with the market, and they're just thinking about folding it. Which seems so bizarre that you would invest literally billions of dollars. I mean, coming up with your own technology, graphics technology, is not a cheap business, and it's why AMD and Nvidia have no competition. Is the only people who can get into competition with AMD and Nvidia are someone like Intel, maybe Apple. It's a pretty short list. Qualcomm may be on that list in the fringes, but it's a very, very short list. Anyway, I don't have any direct news. I don't have any direct anything that I can really report on, other than the rumors are out there. I have talked to at least one person who, not going to name, not even going to drop any hints, who does have more direct contacts and says that they don't think the rumors are accurate. So that's my only insight into the situation.
Yeah.
It is definitely weird, and it's definitely weird that Intel is not making a stance on this one way or the other. Like I said, if you were releasing a product, you'd be shouting it to the mountaintops, going, we're entering this market. We're trying to make a splash. We're doing this. They're going to be this price. Intel has done none of that, and Intel traditionally does all of that. They go full media blitz with a lot of their different product lines and SKUs and everything else. The fact that they did a soft launch of both Xe graphics and the A380, the Alchemist A380, definitely shows they don't have very much confidence in the product right now. But everything that I've heard is there's so much potential with the product. And I think killing it would be a huge mistake on Intel's part. But
we talked about it. Yeah, it was. Yeah, we talked about Intel going into the Arc, and it being we thought a really good decision, especially for the lighter laptops, Surfaces, phones, whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Just the smaller devices. It makes sense. I guess the only thing that would be bad is if for some reason they aren't getting the performance they were thinking of, and then they just don't want to embarrass themselves, or it's constantly dying. I don't know, but the thing is, though, what happened to Ryzen? And their first release, it was okay. You release it out, but
it was all right. It was not competitive. It was not competitive in every single area. It was competitive in very specific areas, and that was targeting the high-end desktop multi-threaded market. Yeah. And right off the bat, Ryzen did change that market. And that's kind of what I've said all along when I first heard the rumors that Intel was going to resurrect their GPU project, which had failed multiple times over throughout the last decade, is you don't have to compete top to bottom in every single market and every single SKU and every single price point right off the bat. You have to be competitive in one. You have to show that there's value in your product, even if it's this sliver of the market that you slide out for yourself. And from what I was hearing, Intel was kind of doing that. Now, they're definitely not... First gen Intel, I don't think is ready for prime time because it's not very backwards compatible. DX12 and Vulkan, definitely a good product.
Yeah.
DX11 backwards compatibility, DX9, there's like no support. The results are laughably bad. But that's because the focus has been on getting modern SKUs, modern APIs up and running and compatible, and getting the drivers ready to roll. And you start from the current and then you work your way back. Whereas NVIDIA and AMD both have 25, 30 years of driver experience to lean on. They know all the optimizations they've already made, and the optimizations they either made and then moved on to a new architecture, they're strong enough they could just brute force their way through it. Because, let's face it, graphics technology from 8 years ago, you don't really need a lot of power to run. I mean, Crysis will run on integrated graphics now, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
But even if Intel came in and they said, we're going to be competitive between $200 and $250, that's still a shot across the bow. That is still showing the market that you're here to play. And even if there's hiccups, even if there's Ryzen certainly had its first and second generation hiccups as far as memory compatibility, odd issues, incompatibilities with certain workloads and software.
Maybe they're just like, we don't want to be the underdog anymore. We're always considered the top dog, so we can't start below our belts. I don't know. I mean, we don't know. We're speculating still, but there's very little information. But I don't. It just doesn't make sense that they would back off on something like this. We don't know if they are. It's just a rumor that they might back off, but maybe they're taking a step back. I hope they're not, and I hope they don't take too long to launch it, because then it's going to definitely be obsolete. Because by the time, if you wait too long on a lot of this stuff, a year or two, it's like, yeah, well, someone else was already working on something. This is not that great, and you lost a lot of money.
Yeah. But sunk cost fallacy aside, I think spending multiple billions of dollars to the tune of somewhere probably between $3 and $4 billion and not even producing a product out of it, or producing a product in such limited quantities that will never be I think that's also a very bad move.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean,
even if the results, even if in their second generation or third generation the results go, you know what, we didn't scale it as high as we wanted to go, but man, we're now competitive with AMD APUs. We now have technology that we can compete with AMD's 5700G or whatever their current generation APU happens to be. Intel can go, look, we're not going to produce a 6900 XT competitor. But if you're buying a motherboard and a CPU, right now, Intel integrated graphics, while they've made decent strides over the years, they are laughably slow compared to even Vega 8. Even if what they learn with Intel Xe and Alchemist just makes them better with integrated graphics, that still keeps Intel competitive at every level of the market in the CPU and APU marketplace. So there's still value in continuing that research.
Yeah.
In my opinion. But I'm definitely not Pat Gelsinger. I'm definitely not Raja Koduri. I definitely have no specific insight into that market or anything related to it. I'm just a guy with an opinion.